it's gonna be awkward.
What's up, guys?
Hey,
How's everyone doing?
this is like kind of a little awkward just because we haven't been in forever.
Yeah, dude, and it feels it. You know, like it's been a minute since we've been on the mics.
What we did is we were in a almost serious relationship with a chick, and for no reason we just ghosted them, and then now we want him back. It's kind of how it feels a little.
No, I don't think it feels like that.
Just
'Cause
because
it's not
like there's
we-
been no update at all, like as to like what we're doing, where we've been. There's been like I'm off the grid for social media.
Yeah,
I mean,
but
you
I
got
don't
your
know.
family.
I don't know about your ghosting and girlfriend analogy, but like because it's not like we left. It's not like we stopped working. Like we've still been.
Yeah, we've been proactive, and we'll get to that.
We've been working behind the scenes and planning and coming up with what we're gonna do because we're just so determined to make this work one way or another.
Yeah, and by making it work, I think the hardest thing for us is that like when you first start something, you don't do it for money, and it's not our goal to make a ton of money off this. We just want to continue to grow it and evolve. And I
Right.
think that what's been hard for us is we've been trying to figure out a million different ways, but all those ways have been dependent on algorithms, YouTube, trying to do it on Instagram, doing a million different ways to try and.
Well, just hang on for a second before you get talking to.
I'm just saying
the business side of it. I think that like you hit the nail on the head with we didn't start this to make money, but like you do want to have, and also too, we didn't start to have big numbers. I mean, but it feels like we shouldn't be doing it for nothing and no growth and having no potential. And ultimately we would find ourselves be fighting an uphill battle despite having good content. I mean, even like it's not like people come in to the show and they have a bad time listening.
right.
And it's not like people have ever really complained about anything we've said. I mean, for the most part, it's been a very positive. It's been positive what we get back.
In terms of our relationship with our audience and the people, and we joke about the review thing and we joke about everything, but like I would say it's pretty much all positive in that sense. The only negative side of it, I would say, would be from an algorithm side. We're in a fight with that. We're not trying to get people to enjoy what we have to say, because the people do enjoy what we say. It's just getting it out to the people.
Yeah, we're not
people outside of the 150 subscribers on YouTube we have.
It'd be a very different problem for us if it was like we had 10,000 views an episode and we were just so misunderstood that more people disliked us than liked us. That'd be a very different issue. But our issue is that we're not seeming to get out to the people, even though the people that we do get out to really enjoy it. It's just, what do we do?
One, it's also it's a hard thing to share. It is a hard show. It's not like,
yeah, we're not clips. It's not a little quick thing to where someone can just post it.
But even still, like there is something psychologically with people that they're selective with what they share. There's something that needs to be.
There's
so
a
like
prestige.
most likely people are sharing TED Talks or things that are a little bit more prestigious than say our podcast, that they're not going to share to their 1,000 Facebook friends about us talking about whatever the fuck.
Yeah, like particularly when we talk about something that borderline, something that could be
close to inappropriate.
I was going to say a TED Talk topic.
Right.
Like, not that we should be on a TED Talk, but like the topic of, say, fucking self-improvement.
Yeah, or self-awareness, whatever we were talking about. Yeah.
That could be something that would be on a TED Talk, and obviously the TED Talk, as it should, would get the precedent and share over us.
Yeah.
That being said, we have ultimately decided in our time away, and Z taking the step and getting off of social media, I think was sort of a door opener into us going down this lane. But
Well, if I can just quickly, just before that, I had done that and then wanted to start my own. So, a quick preface of Weber Boys Entertainment. There is a reason why there's Weber Boys Entertainment and then the Socially Awkward Podcast, right? We've always thought Weber Boys Entertainment had the potential to be something bigger than just a podcast.
for sure.
So,
And even just podcasts in general, because like
Yeah.
obviously we've done other podcasts with the Awkward MMA.
exactly.
We've done this.
So we've
talked about doing other podcasts.
Yeah, skits. We did the Conor Habib skit. We were really hoping that would have maybe done more to incentivize us to get into skits a little sooner. But
it's always to be more.
yeah, it's always been just to be more than this, a socially awkward podcast. And as we've gotten more into film and other things like that, I've been trying to figure out ways that I could get projects out there and things that I want to be working on, like whether it be shorts or something that just help me get better. And I created my own YouTube as a thing to focus on instead. Well, we've got this brand just sitting in front of us, and I think just having that time away from everything, it did get me to I removed all the videos on that channel, wiped that channel completely out. It's not like deleted, but it's like there's no profile picture, there's nothing to it, because I don't know, it just feels like this felt like the right thing to do. So that was just a quick little preface of why this is even.
Well, I think that like we'd both talked about different ways of doing it and setting it up. Like you had your YouTube channel that you started. I was potentially going to start a YouTube channel at some point down the line. And then we had the Patreon, and we had all sorts of different schemes of how we were going to have it set up. But ultimately, none of it really felt right or authentic or really scalable for that matter, because again, we're going to be fighting the same battle on all of those avenues that we're currently fighting with the show. And it's just that these algorithms, and we don't want to blame too much on the algorithms, because it is our fault.
Yeah.
You know, it's 100% our fault that we don't fit the bill for a YouTube type of algorithm.
Right, because for those that don't know about the algorithm, is that the channels that focus on one topic, they do really, really well. Obviously, we don't. We talk about a million different things, and we don't want to talk about just one thing. Like, so that's where.
There's a reason. I mean, if you look at like if you take like content consumption and scale it to a TV show, you know what I mean? And people are viewing a YouTube channel as a TV show as opposed to a TV network, which is what I think creators oftentimes view it as. Like us, like I view YouTube as a network, an individual's network for all the different things. And then the playlists are what would be considered shows. But that's not necessarily how it's consumed, because the people who are consuming it only and they don't have sign-ins, for example, and they're just going in and searching shit, they pop up on a self-help video. They're going to click on the profile assuming that the rest of that content is going to be about self-help or something along those lines.
So it really does make sense why we're here now at this point.
Yeah.
And I think it was forever a point that we have been trying to make, to not have to fight in that rat race. Because also too, like when I think about it, honestly, now that once we talk about what we're going to be doing, but it just doesn't make sense when you look at it. It wouldn't be fair in terms of life when you just think of like it from an actual just natural standpoint. It doesn't seem fair that just two guys could be able to go and talk about whatever and then run the entire YouTube algorithm. Like, it should be that your interests are aligned. Like, you should be able to just go to your guy that like just does guitar, just does cooking, or just does that. And then it's easier organized for consumer. Like my personal YouTube channel that I don't have any videos or subscribers, that I just subscribe to everything. it's so easily laid out for me. And I look at it, and every single channel is a specific. One's MMA. They got MMA guys, and you got the
cooking guy,
the wakeboarders, and then you got
the tactical guy. You got just everyone.
And every video that you click on, their first video, they go, "Hey, what's up, guys? I'm so and so. You can come back every week. I talk about this. If you like more like this, subscribe. You can come back, ring the bell, and it's this whole thing.
We can't do that.
Yeah, what are we gonna say? Like, come back and check us talk about. Might be aliens. It could be spaceships.
Find out next week.
Yeah, tune in.
And unless you kind of know the flavor from past episodes, I mean, it's a fucking crapshoot.
It's a box of chocolates, man. It really is.
So we've decided that ultimately the main problem is the video portion of the show.
Yeah, and we should mention that quickly too, that this main reason that we're doing this is video, and that our audio side isn't really affected by the algorithms. It's its own thing that it doesn't really,
and that's doing fine, and
it's growing, and it's
we're not really fighting any uphill battles other than we're not famous and no one really gives a shit about us.
No one's giving us reviews,
and that's fine. But I mean, the reviews that we do have are good, and so we appreciate that.
Exactly.
But that being said, the YouTube has got to go for us, because we just don't really feel like we belong. We don't feel like there's a logical way for us to grow on there. We're still going to do video versions of the podcast. We're going to still do them. We're just going to house them on our own site.
Yeah. So
you're going to get into that because you build it and do that.
Yeah. So essentially, we're going to be, Weber Boys Entertainment's going to be its own Netflix, for lack of better words. We're going to be our own streaming service. So you can come on, you can watch full episodes of the podcast. It's going to be completely ad free. It's going to be behind a paywall, of course. So this will be in kind of replacement of the Patreon. The Patreon's going to be no mas.
Yeah, we're going to get rid of that.
And that was this is kind of what we were wanting out of Patreon, but we didn't know that it was really possible for us to just make our own streaming service. And once we found that we had the resources available, and my little bit of coding knowledge has helped me kind of navigate some of the obstacles that I've had building it. But we didn't know that this was possible. So this is taking over the Patreon. There is not going to be any Patreon. And we're going to have different tiers and different models, because we're going to have different content. So this isn't just our podcast. We're going to have other podcasts and other shows. Like when we get there, we might find different hosts for different podcast shows. Maybe we might find people that would be interested being under the Weber Boys Entertainment banner. And then we have those shows on this. Audio is going to be full episodes on Apple and all the streaming services
for free, just like it always has been.
Yeah. So if you want to watch, you're going to have to pay for the full episode. We'll post a clip to our YouTube, kind of like what Rogan's doing with the Spotify thing. But if you want to watch it, there's no free to watch the full episode. You do got to pay for that. And that's on this new site, which is, the links are not out yet. So it's not completely done, but,
it's under construction, and we are going to be doing the clips. We're going to be clipping up episodes and putting that on YouTube. And again, like we said, the audio version is free still on all the streaming deals that you're using already. It's just the video that we're not going to do the Patreon thing anymore.
We're waving the white flag on YouTube, trying to fight in that.
And we are waving the white flag on YouTube. And basically the result of that is we're doing our own thing video wise, but then it's also kind of, it's really forcing us to branch out and do more. Like we've got a couple of new shows that we're cooking up, and it's going to be really exciting to see what we're going to do with that. We're going to film those. We're starting to film one, this weekend, next weekend?
Yeah. So we'll have an original show. It'll release a season, and it's not going to be like, it's not going to be a podcast. It'll be an actual show, like almost like a reality show. And we'll have different types of shows like that, but we're going to have one that's releasing with the launch of
The site.
the site.
Okay.
And
a full season. We're gonna, and you know what we're gonna do too is we're gonna drop a full season, right? Instead of do one a week.
Yeah.
That way if you've
got, want to binge it,
if you've got access, you can get through all 10 episodes on the first day if you want.
Right. Yeah. So we're gonna have and I guess some of the future stuff too to like look forward to. I've got one that's almost done written, a short, but we've got a couple short films that are going to be released to this, and that'll be, a short film is under, I think the technical is like under 45 minutes. So those are going to be fictional stories, good films. I think the ideas that we have are good. Then we're going to start to actually release some of the comedy skits that we've had written over the years. This is going to now allow us to actually make these and have it make sense versus like before we've been waiting, for the YouTube stuff. Well, now we can actually just do it and create some of the resources. So a good way to look at it too is the more subscribers, if you will, we have to this new site, the more help we have, the more we have to more to invest into the content, and create new stuff. So films aren't cheap, and neither are these shows. Like having a crew would be really helpful, and having some guys to be able to help really bring these ideas to life, I think is really going to be a lot of help on the subscribers.
Well, basically what it becomes, what the whole brand of Weber Boys Entertainment becomes is like a consumer owned like content creator, and it's because of that community. Like you don't get that with Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You go watch a movie and it's a Warner Brothers movie, and like you don't feel like you have a connection with either of the Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
Versus you and I, the Weber brothers,
Weber boys, we're J and Z. We're Jay-Z.
Like we're accessible. You could watch a show of us talking to each other. You can write in shit for us to get into on the podcast. You can give us notes, all sorts of things. It just makes it a way cooler atmosphere to be a part of.
Right.
And in Netflix, for example, like what do you get? What's your payoff with Netflix other than having a lot of shit to watch?
Exactly. Well, and that's the thing. I think like now that Netflix is really, all these sites are really starting to get into their own original content, which I actually love for us going into this.
We're just going to be doing our own.
We're in our own original content. So now it's not like we're not going up against Netflix that has access to freaking all of Scorsese movies, all of Adam Sandler, like all the greatest movies of all time. And, obviously everyone would go to that. And that's like what HBO Max kind of is, to where you have all these, big stuff. But I think with everyone doing their own original content and us being able to just continue to grow, build, and develop from there, we could end up having big productions like the Netflix originals are, or
but that's all going to be the community. If we continue to build this community, we're going to be putting everything we can back into what we're doing here, because this is what we want to be doing.
Right.
We want to be developing stories. We want to be telling stories. We want to be in charge of making sure the right truths get told in the stories, and there aren't fucking executives telling us what we can and can't do.
And that's a great point, because I think this is a huge, and I don't want to speak for you, but I'm pretty sure it is, but it's a huge passion, I know, for me to be doing this and to be able to do it to where it's hard, because the way that the industry has always been over time, it's not ever really been done exactly quite like this. I'm sure a lot of people have, but it's not ever really like, I don't know if it's really worked out unless it's been, for like the start of Warner Brothers when the film industry was nothing. But um, it just seems like a great way for us to actually be able to do it and not have to actually be in the inside of in the middle of that, to where, like you said, you have executives, you have all these people. We got to go through a million different things to get one project done versus
It's just us.
it's just us. We have a conversation. Hey, do you want to do a show on this? Yeah, that's a cool idea. Sure. All right, cool. Let's meet on it on Monday, and then we'll figure out.
I think like we're also super inspired by the people like John Favreau, and the work that, like, Swingers, for example. Like, that's such a low budget,
Mhm.
basically indie movie that is a real true classic comedy movie that I think a lot of people hold in a very high regard.
Mhm.
I believe John Favreau wrote that in a weekend, and a lot of those shots were unpermitted. It was just amateurs with handy cams, basically, and it was because the story was so good, and the, I don't know if it's the acting or the
So well written,
genuineness
yeah.
with the characters was so good, but like it's that sort of stuff that makes us feel like we have a chance.
Yeah.
And we're not out to compete against the Iron Man John Favreau.
No, yeah, or Mandalorian.
Yeah, or any of that. It's just that, like, we're inspired by the early stages of someone like that's career, to where,
Well, even Christopher Nolan, like his first movie was a tiny budget. And what's cool is that we're doing this together, and it's a completely different time to when they were starting and they were having to do these indie budgets. They were trying to get like a probably a small film investor to
Right.
cover the 10 grand for that project. But for us, and what's cool too is all of the equipment that we do have, fortunately, we own. So
Right.
it's not like we have to spend a bunch to rent equipment. Like, our budgets are. And I think the other thing that you learn too as you start getting better is that that's the story is what's important, and that's what sells. You can take movies with huge budgets, and we've seen it, that they've 0 on Rotten Tomatoes. They did terrible with critics. Fans hated it. And like that tax collector movie. Everyone was talking shit about that, and it was not great. And I'm pretty sure it was a pretty decent sized budget, unless it was an indie, but it was still a big project. And
Well, needless to say, I mean, we're looking to do more than obviously just a podcast, and this is a more realistic way to get to where we're trying to get than trying to jam our podcast down YouTube's throat until we feel like we have enough support on YouTube to buy an extra however many $1,000 worth of equipment to make some short films to put on YouTube is fucking crazy.
yeah, and that's
why we decided this is what we're gonna do instead.
yeah. And letting, like we said, it's gonna be the same thing, because it's not really a part of this, but this is just where we want. And the other cool thing too, just on a side note, is that the site store is going to be up and running finally for the first time ever, and you're actually going to be able to buy merch. We're going to put up a new shirt design that when you see that the store is up and running, it will be available for pre-order. And so we're actually moving forward with things, and we've talked about it for years about getting merch out and doing all kinds of stuff. But
now's the time.
Now's the time.
I mean, we've got the direction that we want to go, whether people are on board or not at this point. And
it's taken us a long time to get, I think, here.
I think people will continue to stay on board. People have been our supporters, our listeners, our subscribers have been very patient with us over the years, and we appreciate it. But also, you got to understand, we've been very patient with the system and with the man. I mean, we very easily could have flown off the fucking rails a few times in getting to where we're headed, just because it's a constant uphill battle, dude. You're asking yourself all these questions, and at the end of the day, you just got to realize there's a better way.
Yeah, and I think that's pretty much the main gist of it, and I'm really excited for it because I think that this is, like we said before, it's going to open up the door for us to really be able to, I think, shine. I think you're going to get a better
peacocks. You gotta let us fly.
Yeah, and I think we're going to get a better product out of the podcast. And I don't know. I mean, we're pretty much set here on our set for now. But Socially Awkward with Friends is going to be coming soon. That's just been a thing that we've had to put on hold because of, obviously, the times. It's not as easy to just call someone in and have them be a guest on a show.
Well, it is, but we just don't like that, to be honest, the quality of a call-in versus someone coming in.
Well, yeah.
I mean,
we'd rather someone to come in. That's what I meant.
Especially with us videoing. I mean, if we were just an audio podcast, and maybe we do that. Maybe we do... we'll figure this out in a business meeting later, but maybe that's something we kick around the old conference room.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea because then
we'll talk about it later
and we'll get into it.
Anyways though, dude, do we have anything else?
Yeah, let me just quickly run through. I did want to talk about I wanted to get into what's to come. I did have some stuff that we can well, I guess we already got into that. We got into the comedy sketches.
And I think for this last section here, why don't we do a commercial for it that's separate from this video? And that can sort of let people know on that stuff. Because we're 30 minutes into an announcement episode, and I can't imagine that many people are still with us, fully paying attention.
I got it. Yeah, so we'll do that. And then I guess, so we'll wrap this up, and I can't make any promises if we're gonna be back next week or not, like the weeks until the launch of this. I don't know if we're gonna be doing episodes in between. We might have one or two before we launch.
We're filming this new show.
We're really just trying to get this done and running.
And we know how to talk to each other. Obviously, that's not.
No, I'm just saying for the listeners, so we don't just drop off for another 3 weeks.
Well, we probably will,
but we'll try and get some stuff on our social medias and some updates that aren't necessarily this forum. We'll try and maybe get some commercials going, and I don't know.
We'll be good though. You'll hear from us. We're fine, and we're gonna keep going.
Yeah.
All right. For those of you guys just tuning in, I'm Jay.
I'm Z.
Thank you. We're Jay-Z.
Welcome back.
Cheer. Ho. You.
It's gonna be awkward.
I don't get it. You do the math.